Hello everyone, nubkeks here, and welcome back to Nub Raids. Today we are diving into, I think, the hardest Doom Tower boss in the entire game. We're going to be talking all about Bommal, and to do that, we're joined by a man who's come up with some of the best teams in the entire game for Bommal. We're joined by none other than YST. How are you, man?
How's it going, Nubby? I know that loads of your viewers like to call you Mr. Nubby now as well, which
They
is
do.
cool.
Oh no, I can't escape it now.
Guys, you got a comment, just Mr. Nubby's everywhere. But how's it going, man? I appreciate you having me on. And you know me, I like Bommel more than most people probably like Bommel. I've probably spent more time in this boss than any other one in the game. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm excited to kind of speak about some options and quirky champions that can help people out, right?
Yep, absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna go through basically around about our top 10 champions, going back and forth, that we really like for Bommel, that are worth taking in, the best of the best, and like you said, some cheeky options as well, because it's a really tough boss. We won't go like super in depth here into his abilities, but very briefly, you guys know what happens with Bommel. He's making these dread bombs, which absolutely clap. They do so much damage. If you start depleting his turn meter, he makes extra bombs. These bombs hit really hard. You put debuffs on him, he puts bomb debuffs on you as well. There's bombs everywhere. He takes bonus damage from bombs, though. And yeah, he also smacks pretty hard. Definitely the
Yes.
hardest one in Doom Tower. Do you agree on that? You think he is the hardest of them all?
Yes, I do think he's probably the hardest. I think it's just obviously before Nishak came along with that
Mm.
one-shot strategy, it was basically coming down to like high resistance teams. If you don't have a Geomancer, you can't speed farm it, and coming down to like passive healers. One upside is it's one of those bosses where it is universal in what you can bring in. It's just very gear intensive, similar to like the Iron Twins, right? You
Yeah.
need a lot of sustain, you need specific stats, but once you understand the mechanics and maybe have some of these options we're going to speak about, it definitely becomes a little bit more easier once you understand it for sure.
Mhm. Right, well, let's dive into some of the best champions then in the game. You just mentioned one, and I have to call him out. You were the one that really pioneered this particular strategy, but it's got to be Nishak Verminlord, right? Christmas Fusion, just gone last year, like a couple of months ago. What does this guy do that's so special? Simple enough. He puts out bombs that do extra damage against high health enemies on his A3. He puts out more bombs on his A1. There's just bombs everywhere. Bommal takes extra damage from bombs, and Nishak, he is the best champion in the game for doing this. He's the right affinity as well for Bommal. Just blows him up. The one shot strategy. How
Yeah.
did you come up with that, YST? How long did
Uh,
that take?
Do you know what? Like, I was speaking to Hades about this of why I come up with it. It's like
Yeah.
I'll make like a video. So I actually came up with a video just showcasing Nishak Verminlord, and I seen like the damage output. And then after I released the video, it wasn't a one shot, right?
Hmm.
And then I went downstairs. I was watching Marvel Avengers or something like that. That's actually how I came up with Cornelia as well. I was watching Hawkeye.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So
Marvel is the power.
yeah, so but basically what it comes off is like I make a video and then I assess it in my head, like just in the back of my mind, like maybe I could have like optimized this and actually pushed the limits to see if it's possible. And the way that he's actually dealing the double damage just made me think he's one of a kind in terms of bomb champions in this game, like Gaius the Gleeful, Soul Drinkers, and stuff like this. It's like they don't scale off double damage and only one of their abilities place the bombs. But he's unique in the way where he's got a triple hit, a one that has a each chance of placing it alongside, as you're seeing here. And oh, are we gonna one
I
shot?
don't
We might
know.
be one
Maybe.
bomb short here.
I think we might be slightly short. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
one bomb
no.
short. Yeah.
Slightly short. It's not
But
100%.
one thing I do want to mention, if you don't mind, Nubs, is
Yeah.
actually myself and Saphira actually spoke behind the scenes and we've gathered up a cool spreadsheet to kind of determine how much attack you need in order for bomb placement. So if you've got 7,000 attack, you only need like 5 bombs. If you've got like 6.5k, you need 6 bombs.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a way that you can input your auras and all of that stuff and know what kind of bombs you need according to the stats you have. So hypothetically, you can't get attack stats on someone like a Nishak. You can now know that with a few RNGs, you can push the limits all the way up until like 8 bombs and get it done once in a blue moon. But
Nice. So I just
yeah.
I just built this team earlier, and
Mhm.
I did some test runs. I did like 4 auto keys, super runs, whatever, and we did all 4 of them, no problem. So I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, this works great. Oh, he's missed the bombs as well. I think we're going to be short, so we need to get lucky with him actually landing the bombs and to get pulled in by Lanicus ally attack slightly short again. But you guys get the
Yeah.
gist. I want to make it work, but we should probably move on to the
Go on, you
next
got this.
champion.
One last one.
One
We
last
want to
go.
see
But
it.
yeah, it's such a cool team, right? And yeah, there's YSD's got videos on it. Do you actually have the spreadsheet to share? Like, could we share that?
Yes, I can send it to you after that, and we can put it in the description or something. Yeah.
Oh, Baron is messed up here. You didn't one-shot the wave. It's gonna be a
So
gonna be
wait,
a
what have
slow
you
one.
done? So you've gone for like a Lanicus. Okay.
Yeah, just for ally attack, just because she's one of the only ones I have actually built up and ready to go. And then
How much attack do you have on your Nishak here?
I think about 6.5k attack.
Six and a half. So around 6 to 7 bomb. Have you got it fully booked as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need 7. I think I need 7 to one shot.
Okay.
Or roughly.
Well, we could. Yes.
Let's cross our fingers. Here we go. So we want Lanicus to pull him in, and we need him to actually land some. He's only landed 1. What are you doing, Nishak? Oh, he's not been pulled in. We're cursed. I literally did 4 runs and we got it every time. I don't believe it. Maybe if he lands 3. Oh, we got the thing. That might make a
Brimstone,
difference.
though.
We got Brimstone. That's an extra chunk. Is it enough? It's not. We're cursed. But the Brimstone.
We're gonna still kill him though. Leave it on your list. The poisons will get it.
The Brimstone's got him. The Brimstone plus the poison. So yeah, it's not a perfect team, but like it's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good.
It's very like if you can get obviously with a team like this, you want to bring in full ally attackers. So people like Lunavaru or Longbeards and stuff like that will add to consistency. But most players just care about do it once and move on pretty much. But it enables that, right?
I've been farming it today because it's just so fast. Even if you fail, it's real fast. So there you go. That is that's the number 1.
Yeah, that's a bit of a. Don't worry, guys. We're not going to show everything.
And we're done. That's the end of the video. No, it's not. Let's talk about then some other champions. So let's say you don't have a Nishak. What else are we looking at here? Any other big standout champs for Bommal?
Well, one that we've actually done a video together on in the past is kind of like the solo strategies. Now, the upside of champions like this is you don't have to make a full team investment, right? You just have to invest into a single champion. Granted, it is very well. Some of them are more tedious than others. One that you can relate to is like a Crimson Helm. It's like, it's a mind battle. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ever do this again. But just to run down, we've got champions like Templar, who is a farmable rare champion from the Sacred Order. He's able to do it. I believe Cold Brew has a great video on that. There's champions such as Helicath, who was a previous fusion, who... The downside of him is he actually places buffs as well with like the increased defense and stuff. So you need to be very, very tanky in order to survive some of the bomb hits.
Yeah.
And then there's champions like Lady Annabelle, who I think is one of the best ones from the Bannerlords.
You know, for me, I think that she actually is the best one for me now, coming back to it for the solos, simply because she's an epic champion. She is a champion that you can get. I think she's very strict. From what I've heard, I've heard a few people now talk about her, that she's very easy to build. It's very straightforward. There's no real tricks or difficult things. It's just a straightforward build because she heals herself whenever an enemy dies. Whenever one of the bombs dies, she heals herself up and she just goes in and she does it slowly. But hey, it's an epic that can do it all quite easily, and I think that's really valuable. And then she comes in and she's still like a decent champ to have for something like Hydra with increased speed, potential AoE leech, decreased speed, some healing there. Like a great budget champ to bring in as a speed champ for Hydra too. So for me, she's a standout. Actually, I actually think that she's now the best solo. I've changed my mind since then.
Yeah,
just because of
but
accessibility.
It's worth mentioning what you just said as well. Like, for anybody that doesn't understand the mechanics of Bommal, the Dread Bombs are not the boss. Bommal is the boss. So when you have passives such as Lady Annabelle or some other champions we will discuss in a second that's not solo based, actually being based off a target dying or an enemy dying or damage inflicted and stuff like that, is actually based on like a side minion. Like, let's just say you're facing the Eternal Dragon, the Priest, or something like that. It's very similar to how those would work, right? And they basically deal 40% of your max HP. So targets that can actually heal by that value as well is what's enabling certain comps like the Lady Annabelle. So yeah, that's where the value comes from with her. But obviously, other champions would be stuff like Cornelia. We managed to solo Bommal 90 of her. There's champions like Kyoku who can do it, Rathmatab, Samar Gemcurst. But I'm sure maybe you can link the video that we did before, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
breaking them all down.
Exactly. It's over on YST's channel, so you can check it out. We've got a whole video in depth into every single solo champion. Like I said, I changed my mind on Lady Annabelle. I rank her even higher now than I did before.
You said Kyoku was your favorite last time, right? Because how fast she was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the thing that makes me not as crazy about Kyoku anymore is that, yeah, she can solo it really fast, but if you got a Nishak who's a fusion, so much, much more accessible, Nishak does it a hell of a lot faster. So
Yeah.
the Nishak has kind of killed the Kyoku for me a bit. I'm like, hey, if I pull Kyoku, why would I bother? I've got a Nishak now, unless I need to build my Nishak really
Yeah.
differently for hard mode dungeons or something. We'll see. But yeah, that's sort of my vibes on it at the moment. But yeah, all right. I definitely have to call out another champion that is a standout here, which is a team focused champion. It's not a solo. We're
Hmm.
going over to the dwarves. It's got to be our boy Geomancer. He
Oof.
stands out here. Like, if you want to beat this boss, we all know about Geomancer, how good he is for Iron Twins, so many other bosses, Hydra, Doom Tower bosses. Bommal is one of those big ones because he puts out that burn on Bommal. Now, of course, because he's placing debuffs, he will get some bombs on him. So there's a bit of trickiness to keeping him alive, and the turn meter stuff will spawn more bombs. So that's not a bad thing because when those bombs start exploding, he starts deflecting that damage back. He starts proccing that max HP damage on Bommal. So for actually killing Bommal, it's one of the easier ways to do it is let Geomancer just throw all that damage back with his passive, and you just I stick it out and survive. So that's a very accessible way. Everyone who gets a Geomancer, everyone wants him, but everyone who gets him is going to be building one, no doubt. So he's a great option to pop in.
Yeah, he's definitely like after like solo strategies or the Nishak Vermin Lord or whatever that may be.
Mm.
Geomancer strategy is definitely something that I was doing away from like the initial resistance strategy when Bommal first came out because it's just so easy, right? And he's one of those champions where you want to proc the dread bombs because the more dread bombs you proc, the more damage it is. And leading into the next champion actually will be Vogov, who actually
Yeah.
pairs very well with the Geomancer. So if anybody thinking, how are you surviving 40% max HP? Well, having 1, 2, or potentially 3 Vogovs in your team doesn't have to be booked. The Festering Dynamo will heal by 50% of the damage received. But one thing that players get a misconception of, which we did touch on earlier with the solo champion with Lady Annabelle, it says only heals by 25% of the damage received from boss attacks. But remember, guys, the dread bombs are not the boss. They are like minions, right? So you're
Mm.
actually getting that 50% value. This is where having multiples allows you to heal more than you're taking damage because it's 40% max HP, 50% heal. So this is where you're actually surviving a long time, and proccing those dread bombs is something to pair with a Geomancer, right? But
Yeah.
just in general, like staying alive, this is one of the best ways to do it for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think I've got a
Yeah.
video with 2 Vogots. I think I also have one with 3 Vogots. We might have explored both in the same video, but
Lucky you.
yeah, there's really cool strats you can do. So definitely hold on to your Vogots. You can literally have a team with 3 Vogots, a Geomancer, and then maybe something like a Vizix in there. And it tops your team up. When the bombs explode, suddenly they're not chunking your team. Every bomb that explodes is full healing your team because of Vogoth passive. It's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Yeah, this champion, he does something like no other can for a full team, which is really, really cool.
Hmm.
All right, do you have well, you just call that one out. Let me call out one. We gotta touch on, I think, the best support. Arguably the best support in the game, one of them. Duchess has to be a standout for Bommal. The big thing that I think that makes her so good here is probably her affinity, that she's the positive affinity for Bommal. So that means that like he cannot hit her that hard, really. Like he cannot crit her. He's going to weak hit a good bit, and that gives her a big chunk of extra survivability. On top of, oh, incredible base stats, and I've not clipped out your wall. Wall
Sorry, guys, you can
preview.
see my charger.
The behind the scenes of
Yeah.
YSD. But yeah, plus she's decreasing damage from AoE attacks. The perfect veil. She's got the full team revive to keep you up. Yeah, you've got a Duchess, right, YC? Have you used her for Bommel?
Sorry to say this, guys, but I've actually got 3.
Oh
Just to
my.
remember.
Oh no. You thought 3 Vogoth was unattainable. How about 3 Duchess?
Yeah, Duchess is one of those champions. Like, I definitely did put her in my team because before I didn't have multiple Vogoths, and I did find that some of my champions were still dying, especially with the Geomancer strategy. And even if you don't land the next champion, which I'll speak about in a second, you actually want to be able to survive and get some weak hits if it happens to get through, right? So, but yeah, talking about that, if we head into like Tutor Rhymehead,
Ooh.
just as an example, guys, this is somebody that up until today I'm still using. I will be making my own Nishak Verminlord team, don't worry. But Tutor Rhymehead has a decreased accuracy A1, right?
Hmm.
And it's a 100% chance. And being on the default skill is very, very cool because it means that you don't need to bring in champions such as what's his name, Viseo Velis to extend the value of those because they might be on a cooldown, right? Or someone like a Geomancer and it might not land for you. So for me, consistency is always worth bringing in. And Tutor was a previous fusion, which I did pair in those teams. And what I used to do was have one high resistance champion in that Duchess. It doesn't have to be her. We can use someone like a Rector Drop, which I'm sure we'll speak about. Basically, having a high resistance tank who's a reviver. You got a decreased accuracy with a nice affinity here in Spirit again. And then you got your Vogovs, your Geomancer, and slowly but surely you come through it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've used him for, honestly. But you do want to pay attention to having multiple buffs on your champions. Like, you might want to lock off the A2 or lock off the A3s from these champs, because the more buffs you have, if they don't have high resistance, Bommal's then going to strip you and turn them into bombs. And that is the last thing you want in your champions, because you're literally going to die in a few seconds and be like, Bommal, please stop. You're killing me here.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, basically, the gist of what I'm trying to say is decreased accuracy is very valuable in some of these comps.
Yeah, I agree. Well, do you want to touch on, let's touch on another couple of, I think, really strong options for revivers. I want to jump over to, you mentioned a Rector Drath as being a great option for this. I think her passive really helps as well. It gives you that bonus resistance. So if you're running that decreased accuracy champ, like you mentioned, that bonus resistance can help you build enough resistance on your champs to not have your buff strips and not have those bombs put on, which massively reduces the damage you're going to take. On top of the fact, she does a lot of healing. She's got a revive as well. Even a decreased attack, kind of okay if you manage to build her with enough accuracy. You may not, though. But it can be okay to put that on Bommal, reduce those bomb damage even more. But yeah, she's a good one.
Yeah, but even the I believe the resist aura is for Doom Tower, right?
Yeah, resist aura as well.
Okay, so if you're struggling to reach those resistance stats, if you're trying to do that, as long as you got the decreased accuracy on, you got some decent resistance depending on the floor that you're facing. Rector Drop is actually a no-brainer, and I did use her in the first few rotations.
You know, I actually haven't done a Noella team. She's the wrong affinity, but hey, she gives you that increased resistance and extends it. Like, I feel like her plus Rector could be actually a pretty accessible combo for people. They just resist everything that the boss does.
Even like throw a Tutora in there as well. Yeah. You've got the decreased accuracy, the increased resistance, more resistance, and that's like a way that you can just resist everything. But the Dread Bombs, they're nasty, guys. They're nasty.
They are. They are. One champ I think is great, and that, again, everyone should build. Got to give a shout out to Godseeker Aniri as a fantastic reviver to come in. She's got a passive, which is going to revive on death automatically, which can help your champ survive that otherwise wouldn't. Reviving allies with their cooldowns off, that works really well with something like a Geomancer to keep that burn up. And then she puts out some pretty decent healing. So Rector, not Rector, Godseeker, she's a great option that I have used as well. I've actually used her a lot for this boss. Like, if you don't have those legendary supports to keep you alive, everyone should build Godseeker. She's amazing for Hydra. She's amazing for Sand Devil. So many places. So
I always say that she's the most versatile Void Epic champion in Raid. Yeah. That's I stand by that like highly. Like Iron Twins Fortress, Sand Devils, the Hydra boss, the Bommal, no matter where you take her, she has the value because she's got that preempting of it, whilst also having a revive ability, and the reducing of cooldowns is very rare for an epic champion, right? One of them would be like a White Dryad Nia, kind of does a similar, not with the revive, but with the resetting of the cooldowns and stuff. But yeah, very quirky champions. Like, even her, she's pretty decent for it. Like, she's got a bit of a cleanse and stuff, but it's not too useful apart from that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've already covered a lot here. Are there any other champs you want to call out here at the end? Any funky picks?
Yeah, I would say very similar to like the Vogovs. Master Butcher from the Dwarves faction is a rare. And he brings in a very quirky passive, guys. So if you're in that, you know, you're struggling a little bit, you're like, oh damn, I don't have a Vogov, what should I do? Well, have a look at this, guys. In the first passive, when attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken. Does not work against bosses. But once again, the Dread Bombs are not a boss. So the one downside is a 1 turn cooldown, but that's going to come all the way around, guys. No problems. He's the Spirit Affinity, which means you will get weak hits, keeping him more tanky. And the second passive, if you have a look at that, Nubs, actually revives a random ally with full HP when this champion is killed. So if by some chance your Master Butcher dies from a Dread Bomb, no problem, because one of your champions will get picked back up. So I feel like for that team in particular, if you don't have a Vogov, or just to pair with a Vogov, actually pairs very well. And one other thing was, passive healers. We won't go into all of them, but just in general, guys. So I'm
Hmm.
talking about champions that don't bring in like continuous heal buffs and stuff like that. We're talking about like Vrask, Doom Priest, and champions like this where it just relies on doing a turn or doing a hit or just every turn it happens without relying on actual buffs to heal, right?
Yeah.
So passive healers in general, I'm sure that there's many teams out there that I've seen which literally just relies on passive healers like boom, 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 and then yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, really cool champion here is what you're saying. Like you actually, Nubs has a really cool video that actually blew me away with the what was it called? It was like the Revive on Death team with the Mother Cybele. I
Yeah.
seen it
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
That was a very cool take on the team as well.
Yeah, basically the way that works is another strategy to survive. You do need to manual it because you got to time your like you come in with someone like Skytouch, who I use in that team as well, because Bommal now does more damage. If you got burns on, and he does burn you as well, coming in with a cleanse like this and stopping those burns can really keep you alive. And the revive on death helps you get back up again. So someone like Skytouch, who heals you massively when she's low on life, plus has this. If you manual it and you're willing to do it, something like that can make a really potent team. Yeah, I think I used Mother Cybele, Sky Touched, maybe Godseeker as well, and then like I think a Vogoth and a Geomancer, something like that.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't quite
definitely
remember, but yeah, it's
yeah, it's
fun.
definitely a viable strategy. Like if you guys can time it just before the dread bombs and stuff like that, have a
Mm,
rotation of two revive on death champs. Like you'll be
yeah.
able to survive those dread bombs. You come back, but you do need those healers that we're speaking about, right? But that's why
Yes.
Skytouch Shaman is amazing because the way that she heals is like the less HP she has, the more proportionate of a healer it is, which means that you practically go to full HP the second she takes another turn. So as long as she dies, comes back, takes a turn, Skytouch is a no-brainer, but she does have some weird stuff where she can put a fear on herself and maybe miss a turn, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be a 100% team, but if you want to beat
Yeah.
it just the once, that can totally do, which is probably what most people are going to be doing. Beat it once and move on. Well,
Yeah.
there we go. Look, we can't cover absolutely everything in the one video, but I think we went through a whole bunch of champions there. Hopefully gave you guys some ideas. Maybe there were some champs that we called out that have been in your vault and you hadn't realized that they were good for this. Or maybe just encouraging you that, yeah, actually, if I put in the work, I can make this team work. I just need to build up those stats more, tune it up, check out a guide.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it is doable.
I think there was one champion you missed out though on your
Oh,
list.
what's it? What have we missed? Oh, is it?
Bomb
That's
champions,
right. Another
Astroliths.
bomb champ. Yeah,
Yeah.
Astrolith. That's a great one to call
Yes.
out. Yeah, and alternative bombs. And there's stuff like Gaius and War Mother can do some work as well, especially on lower levels. But yeah, she comes in with bombs that cannot be resisted. Just two big bombs. Astrolith hits really hard. Simple enough. That's basically how it
Yeah.
works. Other bomb sources.
Yeah, because the way that the bombs work, it actually scales. I believe it's 300% more damage against the boss. So although it's not double damage like a Nishak Vermin Lord,
Hmm,
having someone like an Astrolith is actually very cool because it's very hard to get your accuracy stats and your attack percent stats to face Bommal 90. But
yeah.
Astrolith actually swings in at the right affinity and able to just ramp up her attack because you don't need accuracy on this champion. Don't get me wrong, there is teams out there like with double soul drinkers and abusing their passives the way that when they die, they actually place more bombs or Geistig lethals, war mothers. But the issue with like some of them is one, affinity issues, and soul drinker trying to get those stats is just it's
Tough.
very end game stuff, man. Very, and unless you've got multiples, you need a lot of rotations to happen in order to make it work. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Awesome. What overall then, what is your favorite strategy? I'll tell you right now, my favorite one is the YST Bommel one shot with Nishak. Even if my team's not quite 100%, heck, it works enough for me and kills Bommel in
Yeah.
like 1 minute. It's glorious. Is that your favorite as well? Are you still riding high on the discovery?
It does make me a little. I'm not gonna lie, like not to punch my own gun a bit. Like if you go into the Doom Tower now and look at the global leaderboard, it's just Nishak Vermin Lord, and I'm like, it's really cool to see, man. But it just shows that how much of a value that this team actually has for players. So in the global rankings,
Oh, I'm number 1 in my clan. Look at that. I
oh,
actually did
look
it
at
with
that.
my luckiest run.
I think the last time was 7 turns. Oh wait, ooh,
Wow. So
oh,
10 turns is the record here with Nishak. Uh,
that's very impressive.
that's very
Basically, that
similar to me,
that
but
will come down
better.
to you'd need a refresh accessory on Baron, and you'd need him to nuke AoE 1 and 2 to do that, I think. Because
Yeah.
the extra turns are coming from the waves themselves, not the boss, I think.
Yeah,
But
exactly. It's all speed
yeah.
tuning and yeah, getting through the waves as quickly as possible. Yeah, and then probably just increase attack, ally attack, and blow up, something like that with the boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick though. Yeah. All the Nishaks. There's actually a double Astrolith here. I don't know if that works
Yeah.
on
That's
90.
yeah.
This is
That's
90.
really
It
cool.
does work.
Yeah.
That's cool. There you go, guys. Some ideas. All the different ally attack jumps with Nishak. All right, cool. Guys, make sure to hop over to YST's channel as well because, well, Bommal's the toughest Doom Tower boss, but probably the second toughest is Dark Fae. People really struggle, and we actually broke down, very similar to this, our top champions for the Dark Fae as well over on YST's channel. So if you want to get a bunch of advice and insight from the two of us, hopefully, on that boss and what to do, go check that one out as well and toss him a sub while you're over. Actually, don't unsub. He's got more subs than me, so you need to unsub from YST, okay? It's very important. Very important. Crucial step.
Oh, God.
I'm joking.
Hopefully we can help you out, guys, on this Dark Fae. And yes, come and unsub to me. Let's do it. Let's try and get nubs to 10 million.
Resub again with 2 accounts. Let's go.
Oh, God.
All right. YST, anything you want to say before we head off here?
No, I just appreciate you having me on. I always like to speak Bommal. It's stuff that I like to do behind the scenes, and also earlier with the Dark Fae. It's just these rotations I know a lot of players have a lot of issue with, and obviously videos like this I hope are useful to you guys. And yeah, make sure you all sub to Nub, get him to 10 million, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess.
All right. Well, cheers for joining as always, and everyone, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.